You are listening to the Will Power Podcast. Welcome to the show. I am Will Holdren, and I talk with some of the most influential CEOs, entrepreneurial leaders, and thought leaders to reveal the secrets that have led to their success. I believe that with the right knowledge and mindset, you can do anything you say your mind to. So if you want to learn how to change your life for the better, if you want to learn how millionaires actually became wealthy, or if you want to develop and start your own business from the ground up with the right knowledge to help you, then you are in the right place because this is the Willpower Podcast. How's it going, everyone? My name is Will Holdren. I am the host of the Will Power Podcast. Today we have an amazing entrepreneur who is our guest, and his name is Brigham Lindsay. And Brigham is actually a door-to-door expert that has been in door-to-door sales since 2012. He is currently with a company called Active Environmental. And with that company, he has built a downline that has sales of well over $25 million, which is really impressive to do in that industry. On top of that, he spreads his wings, is in other industries as well, and also has over $5 million in real estate. So crushing it at a young age and doing a lot of amazing things. With that being said, first and foremost, Brigham, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I saw your Instagram profile, love everything you're doing, and you're crushing it in door-to-door sales, which I know a lot of people, they struggle with, right? So there's got to be some kind of secret behind your success and what you guys are doing out there in Utah. So it's going to be exciting tapping into that story. Starting off, I would ask you a question that I ask all of my guests, which is one, what makes you want to take time out of your busy day to hop on a podcast like this to really just go out there and share your story?
I think it's important for people to know, what it is that we do, right? In sales, it's a unique industry within the sales industry, and it's obviously good for just personal brand, just getting my story out there. It's good for recruiting, yeah, all of that stuff.
All the above, especially the personal branding part, right? I love that. And I think more people need to listen to podcasts because, like you said, there's a lot of entrepreneurs being interviewed and a lot of gold nuggets you can pick up that you can implement into your life. So starting with you, walk me through your background. Were you always an entrepreneur, and how did you end up getting into door-to-door sales? Because that's a very unique industry, obviously.
For sure. I didn't know about door-to-door sales growing up. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, right outside Atlanta, Marietta. And I was there till I was like 23, 24.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I started my life late. Like, I dropped out of high school. I did get my GED, but didn't do anything with that, and just was kind of working at a dead end job. And was just into a lot of just dumb things as a kid, and those things kind of lingered on. And next thing I know, I'm 23, not doing anything with my life, and I knew that I had more potential. But honestly, it got to the point in my life where I was just wondering if anything was going to happen, right? That was going to be good in my life. And so I kind of almost settled for a um, just a lower expectation life. But I decided I'd change, and I gave God a shot, a full shot, and just really kind of got into church, and just kind of started to read my scriptures, all that, and it ended up helping me change my life. So I went on a mission for my church down in Oaxaca, Mexico, and that was also a really, really good experience for me. Really life building experience as well. Just learning to love those people, and seeing that they can be happy without a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a really humble. Actually, I wish that every kid from the U.S. could live in a third world country for just a little bit, so they could appreciate what they have, here in the U.S. But with that being said, I didn't start college till I was 28, and I was broke as a joke. I was basically borrowing money from my parents to just be able to, survive in college, and that's where I ended up wanting to try door-to-door sales.
Gotcha. Man, that is such a very unique background. It's cool you grew up in Marietta, Georgia. Like I think I told you before, I'm actually in Atlanta in Sandy Springs, so not too far from where that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's a lot of kids in that position where, especially in today's environment, it's really easy to just look around everything going on and just get really depressed and think like, man, like what is going to happen in my future and what's in store for me? It's very hard sometimes to stay motivated, right? And to find out like what your passion, what your purpose is, and really just go after that. I've seen a lot of kids struggle with that, right? And something I love that you brought up is your faith. And that's what I love talking about as well, is just entrepreneurs that are faith driven, right? And really use God to help transform their life and go in a whole new direction. Like you mentioned, you really found that turning point in your life when you did turn to faith and you went on that mission trip. And I completely agree. I think mission trips are super critical, right? Just so you can see how other people are living their lives. And I actually went on a mission trip one time to Minnesota at an Indian reservation. And to your point, man, like they had very little like money or income coming in, and they were still just so happy. And it's such a change of pace because so many people on social media, right? That all that gives them these false pretenses of what your life is going to be like, right? Lamborghinis and fame and wealth and how all that just ties to happiness. You have to have those things to be happy. In reality, that's really not the case. So I'm glad you're able to bring that up. And hopefully a lot of people listening can really take that to heart. Because if you really just have the end goal where, I'm not gonna be happy until I have a Lamborghini, like you mentioned, success takes time. Like that journey takes time. So it could be easily 15 years down the road. And you have to learn to enjoy the process and learn to enjoy it's like how you're gonna get to the end point. So I think that's super critical that you brought that up.
It's a total like strength to be able to enjoy the moment, enjoy right now, whether it's good or bad. Just to be able to absorb what you're experiencing as a human, and that's okay. That's okay if you're having a rough day. Like we have a lot of rough days in door-to-door sales,
Yeah.
and you have to look at it and be like, "This is awesome. I'm learning so much." Right? You got to just flip it into a positive.
Yeah.
But reps have a hard time with that.
No doubt. So you went back to college, and like you mentioned, you were 28 at the time. So obviously you were late than most people going to college. And from that point, that's when you started to get into door-to-door sales. So walk me through who introduced you to door-to-door sales and what company were you with out of the gate?
Yeah. Chase Williams, I grew up with him in Georgia. Funny enough, though, he knew me from high school, and so he knew that, like, all right, this guy's kind of off his rocker a little bit, and he did not want to hire me. He, tried to like talk me out of it, and it's hard, and yada yada yada. And I'm like, dude, if you can make 89 grand in one summer, I can make, 15 or 20 would be great.
Right.
And my first full
Percentage of
summer,
that.
what's that?
Just a percentage of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm better than anybody, but I mean, if 100 humans can do this, then why couldn't I? Right? Like, if all of those guys can go through the pain and rejection and can do it, then why wouldn't I be able to do the same thing? You know. But so that's how it started. I messaged Chase, and he let me jump on the team, and he helped train me. And he's basically sad enough. He just retired about a week and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
So we've been working together now for 12 years. Same company, Active Environmentals. Well, it actually used to be called Altera, and
Okay.
then it was Altera for 3 years, and then we had to rebrand to Aptive because we were growing too fast, so they sold all their accounts to Terminex.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what do you guys do at Active? Like, what are you guys selling?
Pest control. So it's a 1 year contract that we sell, door to door. So right at the residence, so it's a need for a lot of people. It's also it's a good idea, and so it makes a lot of sense to do face-to-face sales with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know a lot of people, I guess not a lot of people, but a few people I had on my podcast that were big into pest control and had their own pest control company. It's just so profitable, I feel like, in that industry. It's such a random industry too, but I
Yeah.
guess there must be something about it, man, that just makes it work. So I guess like what have you seen like why is pest control kind of a good thing to go into, and what's the market look like for that, and why is it such a good niche?
I think, well, for one, we our business model from the very beginning has always been to recruit, you know, anywhere from between 18 to 25-year-olds. I mean, that's how it was when it first started. Now, like we're seeing 18, we've seen 17-year-olds come in, we've seen 40-year-olds start.
Yeah.
And so, when we first started, it was recruit these young guns and let them go to town for like 3 4 months. We're still pretty much on that. So basically, it's just a really demanding job for about 4 months. You're just basically in the grind or in the trenches there for 4 months, but then you earn a lot of money that you can now you can survive college. You're not have to need like 2 3 jobs while you're studying, things like that.
Right. Right. It's just over the summer. How did that first summer go for you, by the way, when you jumped into it?
Yeah, so I actually did really good. My first full summer, I made about 168 grand. Um,
That's crazy.
yep.
That's
So, and
insane.
I had to pay taxes on that, but was able to at least do some things to get my taxes down. But still, that was my first one. It's just kind of went up from there.
Yeah. I mean, for people listening to the podcast and even me, I mean, that number is just astronomical, right? For your first summer doing door-to-door sales and you're making over six figures in one summer. And like you mentioned, that completely pays off college, right? When you're in college and you don't need to have other jobs during your semester. But a lot of people listen is like, man, it just might be easy, right? Going out the doors all day long and you're going to make that much money. But at the end of the day, you and I both know that success is simply just not easy no matter what you get into. But for you during that summer, I mean, what did your schedule look like? Like, how many doors were you knocking on a day? How many people said yes? I mean, what were those numbers like?
Yeah, so we would start knocking around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. We'd have a morning meeting first, though, like at 9, and we train as a team for like 45 minutes. So it's a very the the job is not just, hey, let's see what you do. Like, we train. Our systems here at Aptive are dialed. Like, we have a pitch that we help reps memorize. We teach them all the objections and exactly word for word on just how that should go down. They're nonverbals and paraverbals, which are way more important than the words that we use.
Hmm.
We teach them those things. And but yeah, we would start around 11, 10:30, 11. I would take a lunch break around 3:30 to 4, somewhere around there, and then I'd get back on the doors by like 4:45, 5 o'clock, and then I'd knock until past dark. And this is a daily thing. The only days that we wouldn't do that schedule would be Saturday. We would just start earlier. We'd start at 10 and then get off at 4. And then Sundays we would have off. But yeah, that's why I say it's basically like, hey, don't come out here with this idea that it's going to be like a cakewalk. This is literally basically sales boot camp. We're going to train you, teach you how to sell, how to deal with rejection, and you're doing it as a team. It's a lot easier to do this job as a team, and we've created competitions, and so we have teams across the entire country now, and so we're doing team versus team competitions, one-on-one competitions as well, and it's fun, man. It gets you in the zone where, like, there's very few times in my life where I have felt that dialed, that focused
Yeah.
for an entire day. Like, this demands every little bit of mental fortitude that you have to stay in the game and stay focused, because you're just going to get wrecked if you don't,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so it's a challenging game mentally, but it's really fun too for the right people, for the right person.
Yeah. And I think it's so crucial for people to have a moment like that in their life where you can just absolutely feel focused and feel like you're going at 100%, right, to your potential. And I think a lot of people never have like that experience that you're talking about, where all you do is your whole day is consumed by what you're doing, like with your company,
Yeah,
right? And I think a lot of people never really get to experience that. And that's why they're going like 50% and never see a big jump in success or anything like that.
yeah, you can leverage your time a lot better. This is like jumping into a time machine. If you can earn that much in 4 months, and that's why I ended up just dropping out of college too. Like, school just wasn't for me. At the end of the day, it just didn't fit like who I am personally and all that. But
Right.
I'm just
I'm
dropping out.
sure.
Like,
I'm
five.
sure. Yeah. I'm sure when you're making more than your professors in one summer, I think that's a pretty cool fact, and
And
then
my dad, by the way, like, he is as smart as they get, right? He graduated from Stanford with a PhD. He he got he taught statistics at a university in Georgia, KSU, and
okay,
so
yeah.
for years. And he really kind of pushed me to go down the school route. But after finding this, I was like, this fits me better too, right? I'm a people person too.
Yeah, no doubt. So in those days, I mean, when you're going out door knocking, how many doors do you think you would knock on, and what percentage of people actually would say yes in a day?
Great question. Depending on the rep. Okay, so but for me, I would knock less doors and talk to less people. But that's because when I do get in front of somebody, I'm able to, be engaging with them and get them to listen to me more, push through a little more objections and all that.
Yeah.
For me, it was 1 out of 7 doors I would sell. Or sorry, 1 out of 7 people that I talk to. We call those decision makers, right, in sales. So 1 out of 7, I'm selling. And sometimes that's literally 1 out of every 2, depending on the zone that I'm in, right? Depending on like how I'm feeling. That's why I tell reps when their brain is functioning at a higher level, they need to go all in, pedal to the freaking metal.
Yeah.
That's more important than scraping and grinding on the tough days, right? Especially in this job, because like I said, when your brain is functioning at a higher level, you're like your dollar per hour is just crazy high. So that's the dumbest time to go take a lunch. That's the you shouldn't leave early. You should be knocking more doors at that point. One
Right.
out of seven, I'd say I'd knock on average about 75 to 100 doors per day.
Wow. Yeah.
But
So
that's not a ton of doors knocked. There are reps that literally grind all day that'll do 150, right? 150 doors. They're getting a lot of doors slammed in the face, or and really that's kind of like a mean way to say it. There's actually people are generally pretty nice out there.
yeah.
Like everyone has this like stigma of okay, you do door to door sales, you get absolutely crapped on right out there.
Right.
People are generally nice. If they say no, they're like, no, 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 thank you. It's not for me. It's like next door. That's the best part, right? You're not waiting for someone to walk into the parking lot so you can sell them. You're literally just knocking on another door
Right. Right.
and you infinite doors. So if you can just have that mentality of I'm not going to give up, I'm not going to quit, this is a job that a lot of people could do.
Yeah. And along those lines of having that mindset of always going to be able to push on, always motivating yourself, something that has really helped me continuously have this mindset is something called Magic Mind, which is a high performance shot. And I have actually been taking it now for close to a year, and it has been an amazing experience for me personally. I strongly feel that my focus has increased, my energy has increased. It's giving me that boost of energy that I needed each and every day. And it also helps you really just stay focused on daily tasks, which as an entrepreneur is extremely, extremely important. For you guys listening to this episode, you guys can actually get 20% off of Magic Mind right now. Use the code MindGrowth20. I'll put that code in the comments of this episode. And I'll also put the link in this episode as well, where you can go to enter in that code to get your first trial of Magic Mind. And I highly recommend it. And I think you guys will see the results the same way I did. To your point, I think some people imagine someone coming out with like a shotgun or something, but to your point, there's always going to be a few bad people in a big bunch, right? No matter what industry you're in, or no matter what you do. So it's just statistics at that point. But I am kind of curious, out of all the doors that you knocked, what has been the craziest experience or encounter you've had with someone at a door?
Me personally, man, there's been so many fun and crazy experiences. I think of one that's like really out there. I actually I've heard of I know of a lot of crazy things that have happened to reps. Um, I actually don't have like anything super out there other than just like the normal. Of course, I get cussed out, right here
Yeah.
and there. Get a real job, get the f out of here, whatever it is, right? But I I don't know. I think depending on how you react to how they react, you can diffuse the situation really easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. It's all about
yeah,
the body language and, like you mentioned, the language that you use
I'll
in
text,
response.
I'll text you afterwards. I'll think of the craziest experience out of my 12 years of doing this, and I'm gonna text you after.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So sorry to put you on the spot, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
curious.
there's so many of them, and I just
Yeah, I'm sure. But at what point did you, in your door knocking career, door sales career, decide to transition more into building teams, right? Because I'm assuming more you're now into like the team building role and more of a coaching role, and less of actually going out there and door knocking. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming.
yeah. Like I guess yeah. Theoretically speaking, I should have gotten off the doors a long time ago, but I just love to knock. Like I'm that guy that loves to knock doors. I
Yeah.
love it, and here's why: it keeps me humble, right? Like knocking doors, it'll. There's nothing. My good friend Harry Sachs said this. He said, "There's nothing like getting humbled by the average homeowner." Right, and so when I'm out there, I feel like I'm more level grounded to my reps that I'm working with, and so I can understand what they're going through a lot more. But also like the extra income is obviously really good. But I ended up hitting regional in 2017, and so for about 5 years, I was grinding out there with my guys, like hitting high amount of accounts. So in the industry, if you're selling about 2 to 300 accounts, like that's pretty dang good. Like you should be a team leader and lead other reps to be able to hit some numbers like that. 200 to 300, that's like about 200 to 300,000 revenue. Each contract is going to be worth around $1,000.
Okay.
But I was doing like 1,000, right? And there was only like two other guys in the industry at that time doing that. But I still was out there traveling with my guys because I just loved to knock, you know. But this past year, actually, dude. So this is the first year I didn't knock. This last summer was my first year. Even 2023, I went out there and we call it a golden door. A golden door is where you hit 650,000 in revenue, personal revenue. And so even though like I was out traveling, I still wanted to throw down for the guys and show them, hey, like even a partner can go out there and do this.
Yeah. And you're
And
still
so,
dominating. So that's pretty cool. Did COVID affect you guys at all? I'm sure that definitely had some
yeah,
kind of impact. I'm sure.
yeah, that was nuts. I actually specifically invested all of my money before 2020 because I wanted to have my back against the wall for a big year.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened. I was like, oh crap, this
Oh
is
man.
wild. And unfortunately, a lot of the markets that I go into, they're more like liberal
Mm.
and not everything as liberal or anything. We're not gonna go down that road, but they're a
Yeah.
little bit more liberal, and so they were super strict on the rules. And so they actually didn't start. They didn't even let us knock until the beginning of June, which we normally are out there like very close to the end of April or right at the beginning of May. So we had like a whole month and a half. Some of our teams weren't able to knock, and that was scary. We didn't even know if they were going to be able to,
Who
but we
is?
still crushed it. We crushed it in 2020,
Wow.
and I don't understand why. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
People still buy. It didn't make any sense. And we had a really big year in 2020, and a lot of it was because everybody was home too, though.
Right.
Everybody was home. Everyone started working from home, and so we saw a huge increase in decision makers per day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that work from home trend really benefited you guys and what you guys do.
But yeah, we weren't able to knock for like a month, and so that's a lot of time when you're talking 4 month, summers.
Right. Now, who was they that didn't allow you guys to go out to knock? Is that like the CDC, that role? Them?
City. So we do everything legal. Like we're gonna go get our permits for each city, and some of these cities are very strict. You cannot knock doors without permits. They'll call the
Okay.
cops within like a couple hours. But yeah, it was the cities.
Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. Well, obviously, like you said, you guys are on the rebound, absolutely crushing it again. But another thing I really love about you is that obviously you are in real estate, right? You have over 5 million bucks in real estate, parked in real estate, growing there. And what I love about this is a lot of people on my podcast, they find some way to generate a lot of cash flow and then invest it in an asset like real estate that can produce for you over time and generate some passive income. So from your vantage point, why did you decide to go into real estate? At what point did you want to get involved with that? And how did you kind of connect the dots that this is how I want to invest my money? This is how I'm going to grow passive income.
That's a great question. So again, starting so late in life, and I didn't really expect for me to be working door to door for this long. I wanted to make as much money as I could, but be smart with my money from the very beginning, so that way I could set me and my family up for some type of future. Um, Real estate just made a lot of sense. I actually wish I would have gotten into it a lot heavier at the very beginning and rolled with that, but I ended up doing a triple net income for a Dollar Tree. So we bought a Dollar Tree, me and my buddy, and just good tax benefits there. There's obviously cash flow. You don't do any work at all. Like it's basically we just have a manager that kind of just, and they don't even do much. So
Yeah.
Dollar Tree basically rents the building from us. So we have that. I have a Airbnb. I have a couple Airbnbs. I own some land and flip some cabins and stuff like that up in Island Park. A lot of my real estate's going to be either in Idaho, and then I've got a couple big funds down in the southeast that I've participated in as well to some big apartment complexes.
Gotcha. So you're all over the place with real estate, not just in Utah or Georgia.
That's actually something that anybody can learn from me is that you need try to be more focused than I was in investing, because I was so good at sales and so good at creating active income. But my problem was I just get brought this opportunity and then I would just go with it right away. And I should have done, more research and all that. But it worked out a lot. Most of my real estate stuff has been really good. But I've done some private investments too, like some private companies, and they nothing's came from that
Yeah.
yet. I will.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point though, because a lot of people, like you mentioned, they just say yes to a lot of opportunities, and a lot of people don't really have like an investor policy statement. You know what I mean? Like your guardrails, like what do you want to invest in? How do you want to stay allocated for your whole portfolio with your assets? So, I mean, I'm curious, do you currently have like an investor policy statement that you're working off of now, or are you just, filtering things through your mind, just saying like, this is what I want. I don't want to do anything over here, or how are you now more filtering these ideas?
Exactly. So I do have someone to help me run the Airbnb and all that, which is nice. But I've kind of, especially as your active income, at least that's what the IRS calls it, active income coming from your normal job,
Yep.
that is really taxed. Like high taxes when you get to a certain range. So like that's my number one priority for 2024 is to find ways to decrease my taxable income. And
Yeah.
so I'm working with, yeah, I work with a guy that, he graduated from Harvard. Now I do, right? Back then I didn't, but he's the man. Like he's got connections with, these private equity companies. So a lot of my stuff isn't, I've actually kind of transitioned away from real estate so much. The
Yeah.
interest rates aren't as good, so you can get owner finance, seller finance, but so hard
Yep.
money loans I do. I'll go in big on some big apartment complexes with some of the other guys here that I work with, that I trust. But uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, my investment strategy is really number one, taxable income. I want to keep as much money as I can. And then number two, find ways that I can create long-term wealth, whether that's by appreciating assets, or by just really good hard money loans that are cash flowing consistently that I don't have to worry about.
Right. Right. And then you can charge the interest rate on those loans that you give out, obviously. So,
I have ADD. I'm not gonna lie. And like you've probably talked to a lot of people that have ADD, and it's just like, dude, it's hard to focus in on five things and be really good at it. But
yeah.
I'm a baller at sales. I'm a baller at this type of thing, and so it's like, why would I try to exert any of my energy toward toward this other stuff? For me, it's like I'd rather just have somebody else that's a professional deal with
Right.
all that.
Just be the expert in what you're really good at and focus on that. Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now in my life. Is I'm just gonna focus on sales, and then
Yep.
my other side can help me with the other stuff.
That
Best.
totally makes sense. But looking forward for you, I know we got a little bit of time left. I want to ask you a couple more questions, but going into your future, I mean, a couple years out, what are some of the big goals that you want to hit, that you want to accomplish here in the next couple of years?
Well, I want to help Aptiv get to that next level of, reaching their goal, which would be to be acquired by another private equity company or go public, and that'll
Okay.
happen in the next 3 years, hopefully. So that would be one thing. That'll be a good day for everyone that's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, and I also the one thing that I've done like that I've started to focus on a ton in the last couple years is just giving my family more experiences, especially my son. He's 6, so he's just in
Oh,
that fun, stage. So trying to always figure out what experiences I can bring for them. So just trying to like, I'm a loyal person, and just who I am generally in my heart. So I've been with the same company for 12 years. I'll be married, same girl until I'm dead, and probably even after that if there is another, something else after this. But
that's all.
so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
mainly just sticking with Aptiv, keep this thing growing. I obviously my one of my goals on the outside of Aptiv is to have 500 to a million in passive income every year. That's just, I don't have to worry about it. So if I did want to quit Aptiv or anything like that, I'm good. I'm set. But a
Yeah.
lot of these guys that you see walking by right here, like that guy right there, real estate freaking genius up in Idaho.
Oh,
Like
nice.
Aptiv is just full of, it's not just one or two guys, like it's full of a lot of guys that are into real estate,
Yeah.
shoe companies and whatnot.
That's just a hub of entrepreneurs, That's what we all are at the end of the day. Yeah. That's awesome. But I love that. I love the Aptiv approach. Hopefully you guys go public. I'm curious, are you like an equity partner in Aptiv, or are you technically like a rep in Aptiv? How does that work?
So yes, I am. I've been with the company long enough. We just had a PE firm actually just buy some percentage of the company recently. It just closed, and so we were able to, a lot of dogs that have been there for a long time. We were able to cash out.
Okay.
But I actually invested, you know, quite a bit of my money back into the new business with a new company because they showed us a plan where they can 3x to 5x over the next 3 to 5 years. That's private equity company's not going to buy a company unless they're pretty dang confident that they can 3x their money in 3 to 5 years.
Right. Right.
So I decided to go all in on.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
yes,
awesome.
I own a little bit of equity. I'm not like not a lot.
That makes sense. But yeah, I mean, enough to where you go public and it it moves the needle, So yeah, yeah. So that's awesome. Before we're out of time, my last question to you is, what is your number one like book recommendation for people listening, if you have one?
Happiness Advantage. Just like what we talked about at the very beginning.
Yep.
It's just such a good book because it's not just about making money. It's about living a fulfilled, happy life. Because if you, like you said at the very beginning, if you can learn to love the process and that's kind of your main focus, everything else really is going to be a byproduct of that. And so that's the book that I recommend. People need to realize that it doesn't matter how much money you have. Like if you're not happy, you're losing.
Yeah.
Right. I'm actually more jealous of the person in Mexico that's as happy as can be with a few of his just boys and they're just goofing off every day than the guy that's alone trying to make as much money as he can and just he's just miserable because he's just never ending, right? There's no end. You can always want more money. You can always want more things, but it doesn't do anything if you're not enjoying sure every day. So that's why I've really taken into I'm gonna decide to enjoy this angry person. This is an experience to me.
Right.
Right? Like this guy at the door that's yelling at me, like, this is crazy. This is awesome.
Yep.
And so changing the perspective up a little bit, like like this guy's making me a little bit tougher. Right. So it's just a mental thing where I think people in general, reps, especially in the sales side in the industry, like if they can learn to just enjoy their process, that's going to move mountains as far as the other stuff goes. It's probably one of the most important things I can think of.
Yeah. That's such a great mentality and mindset to have. And like you said, that can really be a life changer. So before we hop off, is there anything else you'd like to say? And if people want to reach out to you, how can they go about and find you?
They can just find me on at Brigham Lindsay on Instagram. I don't do much other than Instagram. I do some trainings here and there and that, but I've always done free trainings with all the reps here at Aptiv and anyone who's ever reached out to me. And so if anybody's in sales, just needs some advice, I can't say for sure I can help, but I'd love to try to help. And I don't charge or anything like that. But last things that I'd like to mention, just have fun. That's the other thing that I really try to push on reps is just to be able to enjoy it. Like, yeah, I guess same thing, but have fun, like find ways to have fun in the doors because people want to be around happy people.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like on Instagram. Here's kind of a crazy one for you to think about. On Instagram, everyone catches themselves scrolling. They're not, something doesn't catch their eye, so they keep scrolling. When you're knocking doors or when you're in sales and you're getting a lot of people scrolling, it's because you're lacking, what they need and want, which is they need that like burst of energy. They need that dopamine or whatever, like you don't scroll on somebody.
Right. Right.
Just be fun, be enjoyable, be warm.
Love it. I love it. All great stuff. All right, guys, there you have it. Brigham Lindsay, thank you so much for joining me today.
Will, you're the man. We'll talk soon, brother.